I'm gonna try an English. Parados. Do I want to do anything special? Just to block that diagonal. I could try and set up a Botvinnik system now that I've done this much. Yeah, if he's going to play instantly, I'll do it too. You just have to know when to stop playing instantly. So there's no threat to my bishop, so I can just bring it out. So you're going to castle? He is. And I can trade off his bishop here. One good thing about the Botvinnik setup is that you get a lot of moves instantly. And then at some point you have to stop and think how you want to proceed, because you can advance on the queen side or the king side, but it looks like this is set up for a king side advance more likely. Whenever I push this pawn forward, it's a threat to take here too, so this comes with tempo, but it's not, you have to wait till it's accomplishing something. So we'll expand on the queen side, the king side, and he can't go anywhere from there. Well, he can go to here. So we'll stop that. And then double rooks on the F file. Yeah, if I have doubled my rooks, then when I take, it's a threat to take here. Okay, so he is defending it. The dare for that guy. Should I take first and then put my knight out here? Let's take while I have the chance. I am maybe threatening this pawn. Not really. The queen defends it. Let's see, it would take a couple of moves for my queen to get over there to put some extra pressure on. But he does that. Okay, here's the moment. Well, he gives me a passed pawn. Which way? I think I'll take this way. Then I've got this outpost for my knight, which is closer to his king. Helps push this pawn forward. He moved the rook off this diagonal right away, so very alert play. He says, okay, go ahead and put your knight here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So his knight, I guess, is coming here and then here. Well, let's make that a little bit harder for him. I could put a rook here instead of a knight. He doesn't like my rook there, huh? This is asking too much. Yeah, it is. He'll just chase it with the bishop. You can drop back. So knight here, knight takes, rook takes, queen takes, rook takes, king takes. It's a way of trading the knights off on two rooks for a queen. I don't want to do that. Not ideal. So I think weakening the queenside pawns is the idea now. Pawn to a3 and b4. Not sure what the queen is doing over here. This is defended. The queen can't step in here. He's going to undermine my pawns. Queen has no squares, right? And so he's forced to take. I just think my structure here is better for the endgame, but maybe not. We'll see. But definitely he's weakening my king side, so getting the queens off will help with that. Okay, rook there. I can bring the knight back here. Now I could wait for him to take. Let's see, knight here, knight takes, rook takes. And this pawn is hanging. Or we could undermine this pawn. Get this phalanx of pawns going in the center. So he decides to defend there. So pawn takes, knight takes. And he can enter with his rook. Well, it's a compromise. I mean, you win, you gain something. What am I trying to say? You give something to get something. So I'm getting a pawn. I'm giving up an access to my queen side here. I think I'll put the bishop on this square. Oh, he didn't run in. That's very interesting. Oh, because he wants to stop this pawn. Plus, he didn't want this rook to be in a bad spot. Okay. Maybe I can play rook to f6. Rook f6, the knight's going here. Okay, let's bring the queen, bring that bishop out. He can take. He can take. Yeah. So if I put my rook to f6, if he takes here, I'll take his rook. If he takes my rook, I'll take back. So I think I can still do this. If he runs with the rook, then I will move this rook. And I'm looking forward to pushing this pawn. That's the plan. Yep. He can check me, but I can put pressure on his bishop too. Okay, so now pawn here. And pawn here. I think he loses the bishop, right? Because my bishop is covering this square. Important not to come in and take this knight too quickly, right? Give up this good bishop. Okay, so score another win for the old Botvinnik system, or is this a case of not so fast? When I take back, he'll take with the rook, and I have to, when I take, he'll take with the rook, and then I have to move my knight. So here, rook there. I can take here. Eliminate future counterplay. He resigned. Yeah, he put the rook where I can take it, so he'd just be losing more material. Yeah, let's go briefly to the analysis board. I'm just curious about this situation. Yeah, big advantage, even if he makes a good move here. Did I do something? Yeah. It keeps the advantage, but apparently taking that pawn gives the advantage away. Knight d7 was stronger. I thought about knight d7. I thought he would just go here to defend the pawn. Then it says I should take here and take. Yeah, it's pretty strong. And I'm threatening to come here. And the knight move. That's what the knight move did. In addition to attacking this pawn, it also chased this this rook away from defending this pawn. Okay, good game. Here, let's see if we can get a rapid game here. Anyway, score another one for the old Botvinnik system. Vatsor 2076. Sicilian. I guess I'll play the classical. Yeah, so many people have been playing systems with the bishop. Carlsen does this too, so they're following the example of a strong player. But he does it because he knows the sharper systems are well researched by his opponents, and he's just trying to avoid theoretical lines. It's not playing that because it's the best objectively. Okay, I can take the knight. And he can take the bishop. I take back with the queen. Should I develop my king side a little bit first before initiating action here? Yeah, it looks like I can castle. Fianchetto my bishop and castle king side. That's my plan. Typical dragon setup. If he takes the knight, I'll take back with a pawn, and he'll have to move a piece. If he takes with the knight, if he takes with the bishop, we'll take back with a pawn, and he will at least have lost the bishop pair. The one thing I worry about in these positions is this move here. But in this case, I think I can just take it. combination of advancing this pawn and pressure on the E and D files. If he's done something like castle queenside and lifted the queen up and put the rook behind it, that could be pretty dangerous. But that's not how he played this position, so I'm worried about nothing, I guess. Yeah, so he wants to push the f-pawn. I guess that makes sense. If I play here, if I take the knight, he'll probably take back with the queen, right? He doesn't have to trade bishops. If I put my queen here, he could push the pawn, but no, then I could take it. Yeah, putting the queen here actually threatens to take the knight, so he will have to defend. Oh, taking here actually threatens to take this knight too. I wonder, yeah, I wonder if that would have worked. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes d4. Yeah, he might have been able to do something like that, throw in a knight takes knight first. Don't know. Anyway, it's a moot point now. This eliminates some of the pressure on this bishop, which is defended by this knight. See, that's this pawn push. If I take, and he takes back, I have to move the knight and my bishop is loose. So there is a, but right now his bishop needs to move first. So let him deal with that, and then I'll worry about my bishop. Probably put a rook behind it. Okay, I'll just defend my bishop. Yeah, it's one of those, I don't understand the reason for that move. Okay, rook to d8. Then when he pushes his pawn, I take it. He takes back, and then I move my knight to d. Five. I think that's correct. I could also play e5, which is kind of tempting now that he's got his bishop here. Pawn to e5. He can take, but it keeps his bishop kind of restricted. Okay, can I get more pressure on this point? Take. Yeah, he's got the bishop on it. Okay, so I have to kind of wait for him to take. Can I move the knight? No. Let's do this for now. If he takes, I'll take back with this pawn. The rook and the bishop will be defending the knight, so it's not yet a problem. He probably will keep the tension. I'm moved this pawn here so that I could push this one forward. Oh. He wants to take my pawn. So mean. Ah, he wants to go here. Interesting. So when he goes here, he'll be threatening this rook and this bishop. So the bishop's already defended. I'll just have to move the rook and let him take the bishop if he wants. And if he doesn't take the bishop, I'm thinking of putting it here. Is that a good idea? The knight can take the bishop. I know, I'll put it here. Target this pawn. Yeah, he was threatening to take my knight. Force me to retake this bishop with my queen, and then he could grab this pawn. I'm not buying it. So 1, 2, 3. 3 pieces attacking this pawn and 2 defenders. So is he going to take? If I do take, he can push this pawn, which maybe is worth sacrificing a pawn to get that. But he just takes, okay. This is because when he takes the pawn, I'll have to move the bishop. Take here, he takes the pawn, and the rook is hitting my bishop. Move back, and then he can take another pawn here or here, which exposes my king. But I don't see anything I can do about it. The question is, where is a good square for my bishop after this? Just in front of the king where it was? Yep. Or here. I'll probably take this pawn. And then he'll be thinking of bringing the queen out here. So let's put the bishop here. Now, f5 is interesting. If he takes, I can take here. If the queen comes here. The queen is defending here now. The other motivation behind moving the f-pawn is to allow a defense on the 7th rank here. But it all depends on what he plays. The rook. So yeah, he can move the rook with check. Okay, I think I will play here anyway. I just need to open things up here, otherwise I'll get crushed over here. So he can't take right away, but he can take with the rook. But he chooses not to. He chooses to go there. So the queen can come here. How about bishop takes pawn, though? Bishop takes, queen takes pawn, queen takes. Bishop takes pawn, queen here. Ah, I see. There's a problem that I can't move my king to this square. Rook up. Queen comes out, and then I can put my rook here. This square is covered, this square is covered, this square is covered, this square is covered, so... Defending the king with pieces. This knight could hop into this square. There might be a plan for white as well. The immediate queen here, I think, doesn't really work. Put the rook here, the queen has to move. I can take the rook, and I can take this pawn. So yeah, he takes there first. So if I go here, with my pawn, what does that mean? He moves his bishop here, check. Okay, bishop takes pawn, check, queen takes. And what? It's that old follow-up. Okay, if I give a pawn over here in order to get some freedom to attack this pawn, is that possible? Yeah, I thought he would just take my bishop and win a pawn, but he provoked a trade a different way. My idea is to bring a piece over here. So he defends this pawn. If I push this pawn, the knight takes it. I can put pressure on the rook. Ask it to leave kindly. Please leave, sir. And he does. I can put the bishop here and then take this pawn, maybe. could move my rook now. Bishop here to here, or bishop here, queen here. Finally leaving this pawn, but he's no longer attacking it. Ooh, he has that. It's always something. Actually, that's fatal. That is fatal, right? Because I moved the king and my queen is unprotected here. All right, well, he just played a good game. Yeah, let's check and see how good his play was. While the computer's thinking, it seemed like a pretty solid game here. But yeah, he made some blunders, so it was not a computer. It was a real person. He's just better than me today. Oh, it looks like he made a bunch of blunders, but I guess I made more. What 122 average cent-to-pawn loss versus 89. So I did have an advantage here. Let's see what I should have played in the opening here. Ah, yeah. This is what I was wondering about and mumbling about during the game. So after he played here, I went there with the queen, and then after I made that move, I thought, oh, you know, I could have maybe taken this pawn. And the computer says yes. Because if he takes here, I just take back, and I'm up a piece. Am I not? Actually, I don't know if that works. Let's back up. So knight takes e4, and he takes his best move. Then I have to take with the knight. Yeah, I was going to say, when I took with the bishop, that looked like a mistake, because then he can take the knight, and yeah, it's good for him now. All of a sudden good for him, because he can take the knight. But if I take the knight, then this is good for me. I've won a key center pawn. So if we go back, I was also worried about the idea that he might be able to take here, because it's hitting my queen. But when I take back, his bishop is hanging, and my knight is hanging, so I guess it's all even. He could either retreat the bishop or take my knight. Say he wants to keep the bishop, and I keep my knight, and so same number of pieces, and I just have managed to grab that center pawn. So that's a nice trick that you should all remember in these Sicilian types of positions, where you have let's turn that off so we can see if we can get rid of some of these arrows. It didn't like my castling, huh? Well, I want to erase all those comments. Can I get rid of them? They're distracting me. I guess I can get to that position in the game. So you're playing through a Sicilian, and it's pretty common that you have pressure on this knight already. And if you go for a dragon type of setup with the fianchetto bishop, then you have two kinds of pressure on that knight, which is obscured by this, but there's a potential discovery along that diagonal. Yeah. So in this kind of situation, you really can just take this pawn. It's not going to let me do it now. I'm not on the analysis board anymore, but that pawn, even though it's defended, you can just take it because you're taking advantage of the pressure here. And you also have to check if he has some sort of desperado move here. But here, when you take back, you hit the bishop. So That's all good and an interesting tactic. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the game, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.